In a world where wealth and fame are worshipped, a shocking truth hides in plain sight: the richest and most powerful people are not immune to the darkest impulses of human nature. The recent release of the Epstein files has revealed this in stark and disturbing detail: names, emails, and photographs that connect global elites to a convicted sex offender involved in the exploitation of underage girls. In January 2026, the U.S. Department of Justice published more than 3 million pages, 2,000 videos, and 180,000 images related to the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein, the billionaire financier whose life and crimes have become one of the most consequential scandals of the 21st century. Today we explore not just the facts of this scandal, but the psychological forces behind why powerful people fall into the abyss of predatory behavior, and what history teaches us about the corrupting influence of wealth and power.
Who was Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein, born in Brooklyn, became a multimillionaire financier with a vast network of political leaders, celebrities, and royalty. His fortune gave him access to the world's most influential circles and his private properties, especially the infamous Little St. James Island in the USA. Virgin Islands became the setting for criminal acts that spanned decades. Epstein was first prosecuted in 2008 for soliciting prostitution from a minor, but a controversial plea deal allowed him to avoid serious federal charges. After serving a relatively light sentence, he continued to operate his network until federal prosecutors brought sex trafficking charges against him again in 2019. Before he could stand trial, Epstein died by suicide in jail, raising questions far beyond his own guilt.
The newly released files include communications, photographs, and flight logs involving hundreds of individuals. Some are outright implicated in criminal conduct. Others merely mentioned due to social or professional associations, but the sheer scale is jaw-dropping. Among those mentioned are former political leaders, billionaires, top executives, royalty, and well-known celebrities. Some high-profile names include former US presidents, princes, global business figures, and world leaders. Documents show that former Prince Andrew continued correspondence with Epstein even after his 2008 conviction, including sharing family photographs. In the United Kingdom, Lord Peter Mandelson resigned amid scrutiny over long-standing ties to Epstein, with emails and payments from years past now publicly revealed. Email exchanges with global elites, social invitations, and even plans involving travel illustrate a web of association that suggests familiarity, and in some cases, complicity. The Department of Justice was forced to restrict access to the files to adults because of the explicit material included. Victims and lawmakers alike have criticized the incomplete nature of the release, saying too many enablers and alleged abusers remain shielded by redactions and legal maneuvering. Understanding what these files reveal isn't just about names on paper, it's about the psychological mechanisms that drive human behavior when wealth, power, and sexual impulses intersect. 1. The power-corruption effect. Psychologists have long shown that gaining power can reduce empathy and increase risk-taking behavior. People with unchecked wealth and influence often feel above rules and moral constraints, a phenomenon known as the power paradox. When individuals believe their status protects them from consequence, they may rationalize behavior others would reject. This explains why someone like Epstein, already criminally convicted, could continue to cultivate relationships with elites. The dynamic became about influence and mutual benefit, not ethics. 2. Entitlement and narcissism. Some individuals in positions of extreme privilege develop a sense of entitlement, the idea that they deserve what they want without regard for others. Narcissistic personality traits, lack of empathy, self-importance, and a craving for admiration can make it easier to justify predatory behavior. When such traits combine with wealth, power, and an insular social orbit, they can override basic moral inhibitions. 3. Cognitive dissonance and moral disengagement. Powerful people often employ psychological defense mechanisms to preserve self-image. When their actions contradict their values, they may use rationalizations. I didn't know. It was business. Seemed like a philanthropist. To resolve internal discomfort. This is known as cognitive dissonance. Moral disengagement, justifying harmful actions as acceptable given the context, is a common way abusers protect themselves psychologically when exploiting vulnerable individuals. 4. The sex trafficking cycle. Sex trafficking and exploitation don't occur in isolation. They flourish where power imbalances exist. Wealthy men like Epstein created ecosystems where victims were isolated, controlled, and manipulated, not just sexually, but psychologically. This isn't just deviance, it's a form of instrumental violence powered by power and control. Epstein's scandal is shocking, but it is not the first time in history that wealth and power have facilitated sexual exploitation. Ancient Greece and Rome. In ancient Athens, adult men formed socially accepted pederastic relationships with adolescents, often under the guise of mentorship. Elite Roman emperors such as Nero and Elagabalus were infamous for sexual excesses, including relationships with very young partners or slaves. These behaviors, while framed differently in their cultural context, reflected the same dynamics: power, entitlement, and lack of accountability. Medieval and Renaissance courts. European kings and nobles frequently engaged in relationships with minors or vulnerable youths, often protected from consequences by their status. Records from monarchies reveal adventures, mistresses, and sons or daughters born out of power dynamics that today would be recognized as abuse. Modern century examples. Even in more recent centuries, powerful men have used their status to avoid repercussions for sexual exploitation. Corporate titans. Political leaders and celebrities have faced accusations and sometimes convictions for abusive conduct. The Epstein scandal, in this light, is a modern chapter in a long historical pattern. When individuals wield enough power, they may act as though normal moral and legal constraints do not apply. So what does the Epstein files scandal teach us? First, that wealth and power do not protect human dignity, they can erode it. The belief that status confers immunity from justice is a dangerous one, and one that has allowed predators to operate for decades. Second, we must understand the psychological patterns behind such behavior: entitlement, moral disengagement, and social insulation. So society can build systems of accountability that prevent exploitation before it happens. And third, we must shatter the myth that this is normal or something to be quietly accepted. Human beings have an astonishing range of capabilities, from compassion and creativity to cruelty and exploitation. Obscene wealth and unchecked influence do not automatically make someone a better person. In some cases, they strip away the very empathy that makes us human. We should not be proud of these behaviors, nor should we normalize them. Instead, this scandal should be a wake-up call to protect the vulnerable, demand justice, and never let power overshadow humanity. When we look at the Epstein saga, the names, the power, the hidden corners of elite society, we must remember this: people are not defined by their wealth or fame, but by how they treat the least powerful among us. Justice isn't just about punishment, it's about awareness, reform, and a collective commitment to never let history repeat its darkest patterns again.